My parents gave my sister a luxury villa and left me an empty parking lot, sleep under the stars, they mocked, but when I turned it into a business, they wanted a cut. Man, I should have seen this coming. Every time my parents want me over for dinner, it's usually just to remind me how I'm the family letdown. But, hopeful idiot that I am, I went anyway, thinking maybe this time would be different. I'm a mechanic, not exactly glamorous, but I'm good at what I do. I fix stuff, get paid, and stay out of everyone's business. Meanwhile, my sister Emily is the golden child. She's never even worked a real job, everything just magically appears in her hands. Honestly, she could burn their house down, and somehow I'd get blamed for it. So I walk in and there's Emily, already lounging with a glass of wine like she owns the place. Dad's at the table, buried in his newspaper, and Mom's pretending to be busy in the kitchen so she can avoid making eye contact with me. Wow, you actually showed up, Emily jokes as if it's hilarious. Take the night off from fixing cars? Ignoring her, I sit down, figuring if they call this emergency family gathering, it must be important. Dad eventually puts his paper down. It is important. We've decided to split our assets. Emily's face lights up like she's just won the lottery. Mom's all smiles, looking at her lovingly. We're giving you the beach house, sweetheart, she says. Emily practically bursts. Oh my God, the one in Maine? Mom nods. I'm sitting there, waiting for my turn. There's got to be something for me, right? Dad turns to me, totally deadpan. Logan, we're giving you the parking lot. Silence. I blink, confused. The what? Mom chimes in, casually waving a hand like she's doing me some huge favor. The old lot on 8th Street. It's land, make something out of it. Emily bursts out laughing. Oh my God, that is hilarious, she says, smirking. At least you'll have somewhere to sleep under the stars. Dad chuckles, that lot's been empty for ages, but hey, maybe you can open a lemonade stand or something. Mom sighs, Logan, you always said you wanted to build something for yourself. Here's your chance. I sit there, staring at them. This isn't a disguised insult, it's straight up trash. A memory hits me, 16-year-old me coming home from my first job at the auto shop, covered in grease, showing off my first paycheck, so proud. Emily was whining about wanting a new car, and Dad didn't even look up. You're gonna smell like oil forever, huh? Mom shrugged, well, at least he's useful. Maybe he'll fix your car for free, Emily. A week later, they bought her a brand new BMW. Some things never change. I take a deep breath and push back from the table. You're serious? Dad shrugs again, be grateful we're giving you anything. Emily sneers, maybe one day you'll earn enough to buy real property. They laugh like it's the best joke ever. I grip my chair's edge, knuckles white, but I don't yell. I don't argue. I just nod and say, okay. Mom frowns, that's it? No, thank you? I stand up, oh, I'll make something of it. I look at Emily. And when I do, don't come knocking. She rolls her eyes. Sure, Logan. Can't wait to see what you do with a slab of concrete. Dad mutters, shaking his head, always so dramatic. I walked out without another word. Fine, they thought they could humiliate me. I'd turn that useless parking lot into something amazing, and they'd eat their words. The next morning, I filed for permits to allow food trucks. If it was just a slab of concrete, I'd make it a profitable one. Within a week, I had deals with some fantastic local food trucks, tacos, burgers, coffee, even some fancy vegan bowls for the hipsters. I took out a loan, not from a bank, but from my boss at the auto shop, a guy who actually believes in hard work. I used it to set up lights, seating, music, and banners to transform the place. 3 weeks later, that so-called useless parking lot was a buzzing food court with live music and lines around the block. Then the fun really began. About a month in, after the place went viral on social media, Mom showed up. She looked around, clearly unimpressed, in her fancy coat, like she'd just walked into a dump. I was checking inventory when she approached. So this is what you've done. She scrunched up her nose as she looked at the crowd munching away happily. I didn't even glance in her direction. Yeah, well, you handed me garbage, so I made it work, I shot back. She let out a sharp sigh, clearly not impressed. This isn't a real business, she said. It's just a phase, right? I laughed, a phase that's making more money than Emily's influencer gig. Her face twitched, and speak of the devil, Emily appeared around the corner. She stopped dead, her usual smug look disappearing as she took in the place. What on earth, she blurted. What is this, some kind of flea market? I grinned, it's called a successful business. She scoffed, "This is a joke. It's not real money." I gestured around. "Yeah? Then why are all these people spending their fake money here every night?" A few customers clapped, and Emily's face turned beet red. "Mom, say something." She whined. Mom cleared her throat, "Logan, we're just worried this might not be stable." I raised an eyebrow. "Stable, like the beach house you just gave Emily for free?" Emily piped up, "You can't sell this. It's family property." I chuckled, "Oh, now it's family property? That's funny, I didn't hear the word family when you all were laughing at me." Emily's jaw tightened, "This isn't fair. You didn't earn this." I slowly faced her, "Did you really just say that to me?" She crossed her arms, but her confidence was slipping. "I'm just saying that selling it would be betraying the family." I tilted my head. "When you dumped it on me as a joke, that wasn't betrayal." Mom looked like she was searching for words, then said, "Well, if this business is doing well, maybe we can talk about a partnership." I stared, then burst out laughing so hard a few customers turned to look. "You're kidding, right? You ignored me and gave me nothing, and now that I made something out of it, you want in?" Emily crossed her arms, "It's family money now." I stepped forward, looked her in the eye, "You got your share. Live with it." Then I turned my back and walked right into my business, leaving them standing there like statues. They thought they could break me, but I was just getting started. The whole thing kicked off with a phone call. I was in my office, a small, converted shipping container at the edge of my booming food truck park, when my phone buzzed. It was Mom. I stared at the screen for a moment, then declined the call. Another call came in a minute later, then another. I smirked, they needed something. By now, my food truck park was the hottest spot around. We had live music, weekend events, VIP sections, and even influencers lining up. I was making more money in a month than I used to earn in a year at the auto shop. Suddenly, the family who laughed in my face couldn't stop calling. A few days later, I was at the lot overseeing a delivery when I heard a voice that made my skin crawl. "Logan." I turned, it was Emily. She stood there, arms crossed, but she didn't look smug. She looked desperate. I raised an eyebrow, "You actually came to the lot. Need a tow?" She let out a sharp breath, "I need to talk to you." I checked my watch. "I got 5 minutes. Make it count." Her jaw clenched, but she swallowed her pride. "I need to sell the beach house," she said. I blinked, "The same beach house you bragged about?" She ignored that, "The market's trash right now, and I need money fast." I smirked, "Let me guess, too many luxury vacations, designer bags, and overpriced lattes?" She stiffened, "It's complicated," she muttered. "Just say you'll help." I leaned against a food truck, crossing my arms. "Help how?" She hesitated, "I need $200,000 to cover debts before I can even list it." I whistled, "Oh man, that's rough." I turned back to my delivery, waving over the driver. "Anyway, good luck with that." She grabbed my arm, "Are you serious? You have the money." I pulled away, "Oh, now my business is real enough for a loan?" Her face turned red. "Logan, we're family," I laughed, "Funny, last time we talked, you said I was a joke. Where's all that energy now?" She opened her mouth, then closed it. "I'll pay you back," she finally said quietly, "please." I stared at her for a long moment, then leaned in, "No." Her eyes widened, "No?" I smiled, "That's right, the same way you, Mom, and Dad said no when I needed support. The same way you all laughed in my face. So no, Emily, I won't bail you out." She stepped back, actually shocked, and then her anger returned. "Are you serious? You're just going to let me fail?" I shrugged, "Not my problem," and I walked away. But it wasn't over. A week later, I pulled into my lot and there was more drama waiting for me. So, I'm standing there, and my parents show up. Mom looks super annoyed, and Dad just seems worn out. "Logan," Mom starts, "we need to talk." I can't help but sigh. "Let me guess," I say, "Emily came crying to you, and now you're here to set me straight?" Mom frowns, and Dad finally chimes in, "This is serious, son. We need your help." I raise an eyebrow at the son bit, "Oh, now I'm their son again, huh?" Mom sighs and tells me that Dad's business isn't doing well and they're in financial trouble. I try not to smile. "No way," I say, pretending to be shocked. "The family that gave Emily a mansion and handed me a slab of concrete is struggling? Who would have thought?" Mom's nostrils flare. "Don't be childish, Logan." I tilt my head and say, "Childish, like laughing at someone when they're down?" Dad lets out a groan, "We don't need a lecture, we need a loan." There it is, the moment of truth. I rub my chin, "How much?" Mom gulps, $500,000. I actually laugh out loud. No way, $500,000? Dad nods, looking like he's aged 10 years. You're successful now, you can afford it. I cross my arms, oh, so now I'm successful? Mom snaps back, don't be a brat, Logan. We're your family. I let that hang a second before I smile. Let me tell you something about family, I say, stepping closer. Family doesn't laugh when you're struggling. Family doesn't treat you as a joke. Family doesn't only show up when they need something. Mom turns pale, Dad whispers, Logan, please. I shake my head, you made your choices. My success, my empire, I made mine. Then I step back, I'm not giving you a dime. Mom gasps, you ungrateful. I hold up a hand. No, we're done. I turn to leave. Logan, Dad calls out, if you walk away from this, I pause and look back. If I walk away? I echo. You mean like you walked away from me? Silence. I nod, that's what I thought, and I walk out. But my revenge wasn't just saying no, it was making sure they watched me succeed. I thought I was done with them, made it clear there was no money, no help, no second chances. But people like my parents and Emily? They don't take no for an answer. Sure enough, a few days later, they hit back. It started small, bad reviews online. I was checking my phone and saw the first 1-star rating. Overrated, overpriced, and the owner is rude. Then another, terrible experience, unprofessional staff, avoid this place. And another, the owner is a selfish, ungrateful person who doesn't care about family. I chuckle, nice try, Mom. She always loved playing the victim, first throwing you under the bus, then acting hurt. I could picture her at the kitchen table, angrily typing fake reviews between sips of her ridiculously expensive wine. But they didn't stop there. A city inspector visited, a complaint about my permits. Anonymous tip, he said, looking sheepish. Someone reported you might not be up to code. I nodded. Let me guess, a middle-aged woman and her spoiled daughter? The guy scratched his head, I can't say who, but sounds like you know. I knew exactly. Then came another complaint about my seating area, then noise levels, then food safety. They tried to bury me in legal red tape, wanted to crush my business before it could thrive. But here's the thing, I'm not easy to break. Instead of panicking, I fought back. I hired a lawyer, checked and double-checked every permit and license. The city inspector admitted everything was fine. So, I doubled down on marketing. If they wanted to ruin my reputation, I drowned them out with positivity, special events, giveaways, live performances, you name it. I reached out to local influencers, invited them to VIP tasting nights. I expanded. Next door, I opened an outdoor beer garden and partnered with local artists for weekend craft markets. Their sabotage? Free publicity. Business boomed. Then Emily made her big mistake. It was a Saturday night, our busiest. The place buzzed with music and laughter, the smell of fresh tacos in the air. That's when I heard it, a shouting voice at the entrance. This place is a joke. I turned and saw Emily, drunk, hair a mess, makeup smudged, expensive dress wrinkled. Looked like she'd been crying in her car. Mom was right behind, trying to drag her away. Emily, stop this, she pleaded, but Emily wasn't having it. You think you're better than us, she yelled at the top of her lungs. Look at you, pretending to be some big-shot mechanic turned businessman. People nearby started noticing, pulling out their phones to record the drama. I just smiled, this couldn't have been going more perfectly. Keeping a cool, calm voice, I walked towards her. Emily, just leave, I said. But instead of backing down, she stumbled closer. You think you've made it, huh? Think you're better than us now? I couldn't help but smirk. I don't have to think it, I know it. Her face twisted with rage, and before I knew it, bam! She grabbed a drink off a random table and threw it at me. Cold beer splashed all over my chest. Everything went silent. Suddenly, 2 of my security guys pinned her to the ground, and the crowd buzzed with whispers and shock. My mom started screaming for them to let her go, calling me out as if I was in the wrong. I just brushed off my wet shirt and turned to my head of security, call the cops. Emily's eyes went wide with panic. No, Logan, please don't. I got down to her level, speaking quietly, actions have consequences. Shortly after, the flashing blue and red lights lit up the lot. Mom was losing it, saying I was ruining the family name. I couldn't help but laugh. Lady, you did that all on your own, I shot back. Emily ended up in the back of the cop car, crying and pleading, looking just like I did when they used to make a fool out of me. But unlike them, I didn't care. Mom turned to me with tears in her eyes. This is your sister, do something. I crossed my arms. Oh, you mean like how you did something when you gave me nothing and laughed in my face? She didn't have any comeback for that, so I headed back to my customers. Hope the beach house is worth it. I called over my shoulder. Then I went back to running my business, thriving while they thought they'd watch me fall apart. Emily's drunken meltdown and her getting arrested didn't seem to get through to them. A week later, guess who showed up again at my business? Mom and Dad. This time they weren't smirking or laughing. They looked desperate. I was in the middle of a meeting with my event planner when I noticed them awkwardly hanging around the entrance. For years, I'd been the one who felt small and never good enough around them. But now? The tables had turned. I wrapped up my meeting, made them wait a bit longer, then finally walked over, arms crossed. You're back, I said, keeping it cool. Let me guess, Emily sent you because she's too embarrassed to face me? Dad cleared his throat. We need to talk, Logan. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, like the talk we had when you laughed in my face and handed me a piece of garbage while giving Emily a mansion? Mom pursed her lips. This isn't about the past, I chuckled. Oh, it's very much about the past because if you hadn't treated me like dirt, you wouldn't be here begging for help. Her eye twitched, trying to stay calm. We're in trouble. I already knew. Emily maxed out her credit cards, her beach house was at risk because she refinanced it 3 times to keep up her influencer lifestyle, and Dad's business was tanking when the economy crashed and his partners ditched him. They were drowning, and now I was their only lifeline. Dad exhaled, Logan, we're family, and family helps each other. I burst out laughing. That's rich. You didn't care about family when you screwed me over. Now that you're broke, suddenly it's about family? Mom stiffened. You have more than enough to help us, why are you being so spiteful? I stepped closer, voice low. Spiteful? Oh no, spiteful would be me buying your house just to kick you out of it. Their eyes went wide. Dad's face paled. You wouldn't. I smirked. Wouldn't I? Because here's the thing, I was ready for this moment. After Emily's meltdown and their attempts to mess with me, I made a backup plan. While they drowned in debt, I'd been buying property and guess what? Their house, our childhood home, it went up for sale and I bought it. Mom's face went white. No, she whispered, you're lying. I pulled out my phone, scrolled down, and showed them the email confirmation. Logan Reed, new property purchase confirmed. Dad's hands shook. You bought our house? He choked out. I tilted my head. Oh, you mean the house you told me wasn't my home anymore? The one where you let Emily treat me like trash? Mom grabbed my arm, pleading, please, Logan, we'll do anything. Just don't take her home. I pulled away. Now you know what it feels like to have something ripped away. She started crying, but I wasn't moved. Then came the final blow. I looked between them and took a deep breath. You know what? I said slowly, I'm not heartless. I'll give you the house, Mom gasped. You will? Dad let out a shaky breath of relief. I smirked, sure, on one condition. They both nodded frantically, anything. I took out a pen and paper from. I had this contract ready in my pocket, and I was all set to spring it on them. I'll let you stay here, but I own the place now and you'll have to pay rent every month. No slacking on the payments. When I said that, Mom's jaw just about hit the floor. Logan, you can't be serious, she said in disbelief. I leaned in closer. Oh, I couldn't be more serious. Dad seemed to be at a loss for words, just gulped and asked, how much? So, I told them my price. Yeah, it was steep. More than fair compared to market rates, but definitely enough to make them feel it every month. Mom's face twisted up in shock. You're charging us to live in our own home? She almost shouted. I just smirked. Nope, you're paying to live in my home. The room went silent. Dad let out a long breath and said, we don't really have a choice, do we? I just shrugged. Of course, you've got options. There are always those cheap motels around. Mom shot me a glare, but deep down, she knew they had no card to play. With a shaky hand, Dad signed the contract. Mom grabbed the pen next, stabbing the paper like she wanted to rip it apart. When they were done, I folded the contract neatly and slipped it back in my pocket. Pleasure doing business with you, I said, walking out and leaving them there. Dad looked like he was about to collapse, rubbing his head. Mom wiped her tears, looking totally humiliated. They had spent all those years putting me down, laughing like I was a nobody. But now, I own their house, I own their future. As I headed back to my work, I couldn't help but smile. They used to think I'd never amount to anything. Now I had it all, and they had nothing. Thanks for watching. If you haven't yet, Please subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more crazy real life stories happening around you.